So, it's finally happened. Bayley has attacked Sasha Banks, breaking up the Boston Bayley connection, the Boston Hug connection, Sasha Banks and Bayley, and every other iteration of this team. So it's been teased for several weeks, months actually, that they're going to be turning heel. So what I did is I sat down to myself and I looked at this thing. So let's talk about the actual angle. Then I'm going to talk about where I think the inspirations for this angle is coming from. Then I'm going to talk about where I think it's actually going to go. So the angle itself, the Sasha Banks hurts her legs or her knees, slamming them against the LED board, attempting to win the tag team championships again versus Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. Pretty good match, long match. They told a really good visual story, and then Boston Bayley didn't go out like any chumps. They really seemed to be winning and trying to win. And Nia Jax powerbombed on the floor. That was pretty brutal. And then the camera cuts fucked it up, so they had to show it on replay. It was fucking stupid. In any event, symbolically, Nia Jax pins both Sasha Banks and Bayley. Symbolically, this matters, right? Because this not only shows you that they've been together this whole time, as far as Boss and Bayley together. Like, they've been doing everything together. They've been, champions together. Even singles championships, they've been sort of defending them together, where it's kind of been just as important for Bayley to help Sasha retain her titles and win titles as it has been the other way around for Sasha Banks to help Bayley win her titles and maintain her titles. So it makes sense for when they get beat together, right? Now, and of course it tells the storyline that when they got beat at Payback, they got beat together. I guess they both submitted, and theoretically they both submitted. But when you look at the story, right, they've been losing a lot together. They've been doing everything together, even losing. But but it's always sort of been a lot of shade thrown in both directions, as far as, when Sasha is up, Bayley is down. When Bayley is up, Sasha is down, right? So it's kind of been whoever is sort of the winner or the person who didn't lose. They've kind of been throwing shade at the other one. But in this situation now, they've lost the tag team titles. Sasha Banks has lost the Raw Women's title. They're both stuck on the same brand. If Sasha Banks wants to be a champion, she has to wrestle Bayley. Right? Sasha Banks doesn't have any other options. So how do you get out of this situation? I think this is where the inspirations come from. So there's two inspirations, I think. The Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio storyline and the Mega Powers. So where do I get these ideas from? Obviously, because Sasha Banks' inspiration is Eddie Guerrero. But Bayley's inspiration is Macho Man Randy Savage. So if you combine these two stories together, when Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero had this budding feud between the two of them in 2005, where they were friends, but it was a who's the better man type of situation, and then Eddie kind of became obsessed with beating Rey Mysterio and being better and being seen as being better than Rey Mysterio. That's a similar situation here, where Bayley has kind of been in her sniping of Sasha Banks. She's always kind of put herself over, where she will say something like, some of us can only hold a tag team title, or it's not a shame, but only some people can be a tag team champion, and that's basically on the story of Sasha Banks can win a title. She just can't defend it. Right. And that sort of situation. And to continue along that sort of inspiration of that storyline, Eddie Guerrero had been WWE champion. So he should have been considered to be a bigger star. But some people kind of viewed that he wasn't as good as Rey Mysterio. That if Rey Mysterio had gotten the shot, Rey Mysterio could have been a WWE champion. And that sort of was the impetus for Eddie to turn on Rey. It's like, hey, I've done all this stuff. I've been great and all this sort of thing. And, people think that I can't beat you. And that's sort of the same thing here with Bayley and Sasha Banks, where Bayley has been champion all this time, and she's actually beaten Sasha Banks, of course. But there's this belief that Sasha is just so much of a bigger star and a bigger personality and all these sorts of things. She's been sort of eclipsing Bayley, even when Bayley has been really good, and that's true. But if you jump over to the other direction, it's probably a little bit more meat on the bone. Now, when the Mega Powers exploded, we all know why, because Randy Savage was jealous and psychopathic, about Hulk Hogan and his wife and Hulk Hogan and his championship, right? That Hulk Hogan was maybe just riding his coattails, trying to buddy up to him so that he could attack him from behind and steal his title and steal his wife and all that stuff. Sort of the same storyline here. This is actually more closer to the storyline that they've been telling with Sasha Banks and Bayley. They've been telling the story that Sasha Banks has been, at least visually, trying to, be seen holding the title, the SmackDown Women's title, clutching it. She's been wearing it during matches where Bayley is in the ring. She puts it on her waist and she's been like putting it over her shoulder and stuff like that. They've been doing different things visually to show that Sasha Banks covets the SmackDown Women's title, even before she won the Raw Women's title. So they kind of, they were able to delay, of course, the storyline for a little while by giving Sasha her own title, or having Sasha chase other titles, like the NXT title and the Raw Women's title. And, so they actually did a smart thing here by showing you that Sasha Banks had other options, right? And then taking those options away, because she lost to Io Shirai, so she couldn't get an NXT title match anymore. Then she won the Raw Women's title, but then she lost it. So that option is gone. And now the only option she has left is Bayley. This is, of course, a lot different. This is a more modern version of these two storylines, because when the Mega Powers were feuding, there was only one world title anyway. And, it wasn't like Hulk Hogan was going to end up being the Intercontinental Champion. It's like, yeah, right. So, but the story of the Mega Powers is that Randy Savage was paranoid and crazy and attacked Hulk Hogan when Hulk Hogan was legitimately not trying to do anything. And Randy Savage kind of said that, I can see it in your eyes. I can see it in your eyes. It's okay. You could have just challenged me, That's a terrible Randy Savage. But still, that's the point, right? Like when he attacked Hulk Hogan in the dressing room, is that he says that he kind of been seeing how Hogan has been looking at him, riding his coattails. It's the same thing here, where Bayley has noticed that Sasha Banks is riding her coattails, that Bayley is, incredibly defensive of her title and her position. She's noticed how, but it's not, unlike in the Mega Powers, where it was Randy Savage's paranoia that Hulk Hogan was after him, and Hulk Hogan was like, no, I'm trying to be a real friend here. In this storyline, Sasha Banks really was coveting the SmackDown Women's title. She really was. And she teased challenging Bayley multiple times. So in this situation, Bayley can feel justified that she basically jumped Sasha Banks before Sasha Banks could jump her, And that's kind of, I think that's where we're going to go with this. So how long can we do this? How long or how long is Sasha Banks going to be gone? So during the beatdown, they did the old chair over the head angle, where Bayley jumped from the top rope, smashed the chair into Sasha Banks' head, and they're going to write her off TV for a little while. But how long? So some people have said, take it to the Royal Rumble. And, that's 3 months away, 4 months away, depending on, I don't know exactly how many weeks it is. But that's a long time. That's a long time to write somebody off TV. Theoretically, they could get away with it. They are introducing some new characters on SmackDown, some new female characters. And you could have Bayley's time taken with that. But then you also have the situation where, if the dirt sheets are to be believed, which they often aren't, that Fox really likes Sasha Banks and Roman Reigns. And now they just got Roman Reigns back. Are you really just going to take Sasha Banks from them? So that's kind of that question. And you would think that with the level of the beatdown, maybe you don't want to do Sasha Banks versus Bayley at Clash of Champions. That maybe 3 weeks is not long enough. So what's a good intermediary? Like, what's a good intermediate spot? And the intermediate spot, I think, is Hell in a Cell. It's just long enough to sell a beatdown and then do a couple of weeks of build. but it's not too long where people are like, damn, she's been gone forever, you know, because 4 months to be gone is a long time, you know, and for something that didn't involve any blood, that's a long time. But they did do the whole, you know, maybe it's a neck injury or something like that, and you could possibly push it back then. But, you know, that's kind of, it's got potential. So I think they should go with Bayley and Banks for Hell in a Cell. And that would be fun. I know that sometimes people might say, well, the Hell in a Cell should be the end of the feud. And in this situation, they've been sort of feuding without actually fighting for a long time. And then, of course, also this feud is going to be based very heavily on their NXT stuff. You know, so maybe they will try to build it up for WrestleMania. I just think that it's kind of a long time to have Sasha Banks out. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Like this video, share, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys later.